Welcome to the Aftershow. I am Max. This is Kat, and we have Dr. J right. If my hand would stop glitching right there. How are you, Dr. J?
Good, Max. How are you doing? 2 nights in a row, huh? Look at
Two
us.
nights in a row. Yes, after a couple of cancellations in a row, we did it. We had
Uh-huh.
two debates. I am getting attacked by a feline. No, stop! You're gonna break my clothes. All right, let's get the link over to the people right there. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? There we go. We're going to pin it to the top of the side chat. And in the meantime, make sure to do the social thing. It's like, share, subscribe, send it to a friend, send it to your significant other. Go to the corner, use the corner of your street, and you subscribe to Yerba Mate Talks. And that way we can share that up for the channel. Hello, we have Calder, we have Ale Vallejo, we have Brenda, Dohi Draco, and many more friends. All right, let's get some people in here. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, people.
Good
Good
evening.
afternoon.
How is everyone doing? Did you enjoy that debate?
I enjoyed the
Yeah, it was
cinnamon roll.
I mean, it's extra taste. That's why Yes. All righty. So we'll dive right in. Openings. Who would like to start? Let's do Brenda first.
Oh God, I did watch. I think the subject or the title of the debate was dumb, and I thought the arguments were dumb. I don't. I think that the martial arts guy tacked on some artificial demands of the other side, and I think that Craig's actually. No, I'll take that back. Craig's argument about care was actually pretty good. It's pretty standard in academia right now. He didn't make it up. It's very standard. The care principle is very standard.
All right. Thank you so much. Dr. J.
Openings. They both prepared one. Glad they had something to say on those. Those were good. I don't remember a ton of details. Brenda's completely right that the name of the debate is completely terrible. I mean, it's just hard to imagine a scenario in which I think it was framed in such a way that the Christian was going to have to prove there was no possible way one could think of anything to improve on it ever. Right? Like,
right.
I mean, that's what it sounded like. And it was like, is that really the debate we're having? I mean, is that really what the Christian agreed to? The part of the debate I watched, which I gave up partway through, because you guys know I'm not a big fan of Greg's style. I'm not sure they even hardly got to that subject, or at least they couldn't stay on
Not
it.
really.
They'd start fighting over definitions of words that were meaningless and so on and so forth. So anyway,
I agree with Dr. J.
yeah, that's kind of some basic thoughts that I had on the opening.
All right.
Dr.
Thank
J
you so
of
much.
the Milky Way.
We are all of the Milky Way. So that doesn't change too much. Specs, thoughts on the opening?
Yeah, they were pretty good openings. Like Craig pointed out that I think the question was like dumb because all Craig had to do was come up with a better system, and whereas the Christian had to prove that literally it's not even possible to come up with a better one that was stacked against the Christian. The openings, they both delivered one, and they were all right openings. I mean, one of them was the classic one where the Christian just lists off all the great things that Christianity has done or says they've done, and just completely ignores, all the bad things. Just bleep over that fact.
All right. Thank you so much. And Ale.
Hi. Yeah, I don't remember much about the Christian intro, to be fair, but I think Craig did a little bit better than the other debates that I've seen. I think he has toned down a little bit like that Reddit atheist style that he is used to use in these debates. So I think it went a little bit better. I think he addressed more points than he usually does. And yeah, I think it was pretty good.
All right, thank you so much. I didn't see the intro because I was watching Craig stream before the debate and I fell asleep and I woke up and the open discussion already. So I failed. I'm so sorry. And we did both openings then. So who went first? Was it the Christian guy? Right?
I believe so. Yeah.
All right. Okay. And from what I gather, after Craig made basically a new system taking part from a bunch of other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
He just said, well, this religion has some good aspects to it. This system has some good aspects to it. This system has some good aspects to it. You're gonna have to prove that Christianity's better than all of these aspects of these other religions. Is how I would maybe describe it. Maybe that's not quite right, but that's kind of how I understood it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like the framing is super super weird because yeah, I get that. All right. Let me read a couple of messages. CK says, I humbly love this channel, bro. Oh, we humbly
Humbly,
love
yeah,
you
humbly.
too. We
Um,
humble love that is the
Uh,
best. Yes.
Yeah, everybody mind your manners, or we will send Witsit to
Yeah.
to
Have you seen?
what is that to rap? I almost forgot what that word was. To rap at your place.
I
Yes.
haven't. Have you seen Conspiracy for Music Studio's new song? It's so good.
Yes. I
Yeah,
saw it.
yeah. I almost forgot the musical style that you kids like so much.
Yeah.
Who kids?
You,
Calder C
you.
said, let's go Broncos. Woohoo. Okay. I don't know anything about
Which
that.
Broncos is he referring to? Because that's
Prob-
that's an Australian rugby team, or it could mean something else.
It's probably the Denver Broncos of the NFL
Ah,
would be my guess. But
yeah.
Uh-huh.
I don't think he's about the Brisbane Broncos.
Sarah Jones points out that everyone did vote for Craig to be FTFE for stream. That is true. He did
Uh,
make a challenge on it.
I agree with Dr. J though that I don't particularly care for that style. But I
Same.
would bet that modern day debates doesn't mind it because drama gets views.
Yeah, that is something we have discussed in the past. But yeah, from what I saw in the open discussion, these guys had some super weird arguments that are, in my view, the parallel to, for example, when Muslims talk about the scientific miracles of the Quran. It's a very weird argument to make.
This Andrew guy, is that who you're talking about?
Yes.
I don't know anything about his past. I would like
No,
a
I
chance
don't know
I would
either.
like a chance to sink my claws into him.
He doesn't seem very bright though. That's
He
the other
can't
thing I saw.
control that one thing. He can't control himself. I mean, he can't. I mean, Craig can. Craig can turn it on and off if he wants to. I don't think he wanted to.
Right.
But this other guy didn't seem like he could. Craig would say something that he didn't like, and he would just explode.
Yes. Where did MDD find this dragon man? I did like that. And we have hello.
Yes, Craig. Woo!
We're looking for Sean. Is Sean here? Sean! Sean! You there? I
Who's
don't
Sean?
know. I have no idea. Maybe it's a lost kid. That's try to help. All right. Open discussion portion of the debate while we give Craig, who I'm guessing he's on the way in. Oh, 5 a.m. bedtime.
Oh,
I'm
alright.
sad now.
Yeah.
It's okay. I understand you were streaming before, so have a great night. Enjoy. Jeff C says, hello, everyone. And
Hello.
all right, open discussions. Who has thoughts? Let's do the same round as before, Brenda.
They spent way too much time dick sizing who was better about it was United States or Scotland or Scottish or Irish or whatever, and all that crap, and it was just so dumb.
I did catch that. I did see that specifically. Weird argument to make. Very weird argument to make. All right, Dr. J.
Yeah,
You
so
said you
whatever.
tuned out after the.
After about 10 minutes into the open discussion, so I'll tell you about
Okay.
the parts that I got. So
You got it.
they absolutely the parts I listened to, they did not address their opening arguments. They just rambled all around all over the place. So it's not like if you would have wrote down the main points of their opening arguments, you would have been able to connect that to the open discussion at all. So I
Right.
found that frustrating. And a topic that maybe we shouldn't get into now that I'm going to try to remember to bring up later, though, is the Christian kept wanting to go back to at one point in the debate, who's going to enforce it? And I think what he doesn't realize is he has the same problem. Who's going to
Yes.
enforce the Christian ethics? And if he says, well, we're just all going to, do it because we feel guilty. It's like, okay, well, then that's how anyone can make that claim, right? So I'd be interested to hear some thoughts on that. But that was kind of brought up in the first
Okay.
part.
I'm getting the gist that this is just like a baby Andrew Wilson, because that is something Andrew Wilson says. Andrew
Yeah.
Wilson knows the second part of the argument, which I still think is bullshit, but at least he knows it. But yeah, the enforcement is the same for everyone. There's no other way that you can do enforcement. That's a very interesting point. All right, Specs. Over
Yeah,
to
the
you.
opening discussion was wow. It was completely mostly off the rails. I do find it interesting how when they say that you got to prove the society succeeds, and the only thing they say is though that it has more children. It's like no, there's so many other things
Yes.
we can measure. Like like a society could be having like thousands of kids, but it could be like really poor. So like, is that a successful society? No. Should there be much better metrics than just how many kids they have or if they multiply? That's such a dumb system for measuring success.
Yeah, that is something I have heard many, many times. And it's such a baffling argument because it's like, dude, don't stop looking when you find what you think is the first problem, because that's an easy problem. You just incentivize people to have more kids, and how you give them money is a great example. You just give them money and people will have more kids, or give them parental breaks when the kids are born, that kind of stuff. A basket with food would even work to get people to have kids. It's not that hard to get people to fuck a little, right? So it's not a major problem. I don't know why they're like, yeah, we found it. This is the answer, kids. It's like, dude, we can just sell like cracked condoms and we'll take care of it. It's okay. It's no problem. There's plenty of solutions that we can go to in order to get more babies. It's not a hard thing.
After that solution, Max, are you going to be the father to many children here? Or are we going to have
No.
many Maxes going all over the place if we do the crack condom strategy here, or what?
No. I have made it this far without kids. I think it would be a shame to break that streak.
Oh yeah, well I thought we were selling faulty condoms, so you weren't going to have much of a choice in the matter.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, but action, reaction. If that happens, I will either become like a monk, or I will just get a vasectomy. I mean, problem solutions. That's how we roll here. You give me the problem, we give you a solution. It's like that. It's very easy, but it's a weird thing that they cannot think past like, yeah, babies. And that's the whole of the argument.
Someday, Max, there'll be that woman who will come along.
Maybe.
She'll be the light of your eye.
Yes,
and then before you know it, a bunch of little Maxes will be popping out.
Oh my God, no! When you say it like that, it sounds horrible. It sounds terrifying. Can you imagine me putting up with a bunch of more me's? That would be absolutely hilarious. Sea Lion Prime says, for $2, thank you so much. Here's some money to not spend on kids. I approve. Thank you so much. That is great. Ale. Thoughts on the open discussion?
Yeah, I think I find it like so weird that it doesn't matter which Christian I hear debate about these sort of things. They never seem to fathom what's the difference between a population being Christian and a country being founded on Christian values. Like the example with the US, that he was saying that the US is a Christian country. No, it's yes, the majority of the population is Christian, but no, it's not a Christian. No, it's not a country founded in Christian values. Like there's almost no country that they could use as an example of a developed country is a Christian country. Like plenty countries in Latin America are Christian countries, and they're not doing so well. Uh,
That is true.
Also, yeah, those are actually Christian countries. Some of them, not all of them.
Yes.
And then like another thing that you guys were talking about the birth rate. Like they always go to this, but they never establish why we ought to reproduce. They
That
just
is also
assume
true.
it's a
Yes.
good thing, but they don't ever establish why we ought to reproduce. Why should we? Like
Oh, I can tell you why. They're incels.
yeah, basically maybe. But yeah, it's never an argument they make. They just presuppose it, which goes with their entire way of arguing, I guess.
Yes, it's a little bit of a black and white fallacy in that they think that a successful society is one that reproduces, but you could have an incredibly cruel society that reproduces, or you could have an incredibly just and happy society that just goes extinct.
Yeah.
So it's not black and white. There are many shades of everything in between. Got a bunch of super chat. Thank you everyone so much. Yonderstone for $5 says presuppositional arguments exist because Christians suck at discussing ethics and they haven't read the Bible. Hit that like button, y'all. Thank you so much. Jim Daniels for $10 says congratulations, Canada, on your rocket launch after a 25-year hiatus, proving once again there is no firmament. Suck it, Mikey.
Yeah,
Suck
that's
it
not looking good for Mikey's lawsuit.
with lemons. Suck it with half a kilogram of lemons. National
CK
Security
asks-
Force for $20. Humbly, thank you so much. Here's a donation to start a neuter witted fund. The gene pool is already shallow enough.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I humbly accept on behalf of Witted. So this argument, let me go back. This argument that you talked about, I think that is the best way to get, if you're going to debate Christian on ethics, just take it to the Bible. Because you either force them to do, which happened towards the end, the dragon guy, he was like, yeah, that's just the Old Testament. But that gets you into theological problems. It gets them to actually face the fact that the actual ethical rules are in the Old Testament. And it's a very tough spot to be at, because if the Old Testament is just the Old Testament, then, I mean, Jesus didn't fulfill any prophecy, and that's kind of a big deal with the big JC, right, Dr. J?
Oh yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure there are people somewhere out there in the world that are like New Testament only, but that would be really, really weird, right? I don't know how
Yes.
you can say that's just the Old Testament. You could
Yeah.
you could make some kind of arguments like, oh well, the Old Testament, God was trying to make a progressive system in which, progressively got better, and therefore at the time it wasn't as so he was acquiescing to what humans were doing at the time or something like that. But, the
Yeah.
ethics that he provided in the Old Testament were his ultimate, view of how they should be or whatever. But, that's not saying it's just the Old Testament, right? That you can't, I don't see how you can think it's just the Old Testament is an argument.
Yeah, that is what's baffling to me, because I mean, even I know that you just can't say, oh yeah, that's just the Old Testament, dude. There's a lot there that you need to pay attention to. So that is weird. I don't get why they do that. And then the other argument that is a copy of what Andrew Wilson says that you mentioned. What was it?
Something
Uh,
about ethics.
I'm sorry.
Something about ethics.
Ah, the I don't know, but when we talk about ethics, we have already gone past, like way past Christian ethics. Take the U.S. for example. He was saying America is a Christian nation. Okay, why don't you stone adulterers then if you're a Christian nation? And that gets you back into the point that I was mentioning
Well,
before.
saying just the Old Testament doesn't mean you can't say that the ethics have changed from the Old Testament to the New Testament. We don't do the Old Testament ethics now. You still
I
have to
understand.
you have to defend why that was okay for it to be done back then. But that's
Right.
different than saying we should do it now.
No, I understand that. But for example, I would take that answer from you, Dr. J, because you're honest about those kinds of things. But for example, take some of the ortho bros. They would say that it's their objective morality that it has never changed. So it's I mean, debate strategy wise, from the atheist perspective, I think that's kind of where I would take it, right? I think. And
Oh, if you were saying like your ethics have changed, look, the rules are different in the Old Testament from the New Testament. Yeah, sure. I mean, you can certainly just discuss whether these unchanging ethics or whatever
Mhm.
are based on the Old and New Testament.
All right. I see that we were. Oh, there he is. Isa, how you doing? There.
We can't hear you, Isa.
It's coming out.
I think you. Did you freeze? Oh, there we go. Hello.
Almost.
Ah, so close. Missed it by that much. While we do that, NASA Security for $5. Thank you so much. Says the Old Testament. Oh.
Oh my god, what was
Okay.
Please
that?
tell me
Isa,
Isa isn't in another accident.
sorry, I couldn't.
What was that?
My
It
trigger
seems like-
finger failed.
Isa is in a washer of some kind, like a car wash
Yes, something happened.
or a machine. Maybe he's being ground
Isa,
up.
if you can hear us, when you came on, when you unmuted, it sounded like
He's in
really
a hurricane.
Brave.
He's in a
really
hurricane.
loudly. Yes. Okay.
One thing I would say, I
reconnecting.
think that the Dragon guy did a very poor job. He didn't really defend Christian ethics. He defended Christianity, as itself, and not. He could have had a better argument if he just
Yes.
stuck to Christian ethics in general. For instance, I think Dr. J could probably defend Christian ethics a lot better. He wouldn't argue, and you shouldn't argue, that America is a Christian nation, but you could
Mhm.
argue that America's has been infused with the Christian ethos since its beginning, and it is that which led to our tremendous success. Now that you could debate that, it'd be more interesting, but instead they had to have a um, a a, a, a dictionary fight about what the fucking words mean. and
Yeah,
what
that
the
was so
Constitution
annoying.
means.
Oh, that was so annoying.
That-
when they were
that is,
arguing over the definition.
That is how you build. You see, Christians, the ones in the debate sphere, that is how you build. She basically said the same thing. It's just that it is framed in a much more sensible way that allows, like, you have to think into it, because that you can't just refute that out of hand. What
Yeah,
Brenda just said, and that's how you
I
build
would-
an argument.
Right. I would approach a debate with Dr. J on the Christian ethics or the Christian ethos. I'm not sure I could. That would be hard.
Mhm.
I don't think it would be. I don't think it's straightforward. Um, so, but the one thing that neither I or many people in here would do is sit there and fuck around about whether or not the preamble to the Constitution means this or that, or what the
Yes.
definitions
Oh
are.
god, yeah.
Yes, that is so true. Anarchic Fox says the Raiders of the Lost Mark have arrived. Thank you, everyone, coming from Mark's channel. Hello. That is a great point, Brenda. And I think people should take notes on how, if you build an intransigent argument that, like, you just go down what this guy did, the America, hell yeah, which, I mean, it is true, but it's a bad argument just saying, America, best country in the world, and that's
It's
it.
sort of
Exactly.
true, depending.
However, it did lead to one of the best moments in the debate when Craig was laughing at him when he said America's the best country in the world. I would have just hung my head in shame if I tried to say something like that. No, Craig is right. We're the laughing stock of the world right now. We've got a fucking clown. What, Jesus Christ, you know?
Yeah.
We've got this head of the CDC getting rid of vaccines. Holy shit!
Yeah, but there was
No,
something
I
else
Well,
know.
Craig
that
laughed at, but I can't remember what. There was something he actually had a massive laugh about.
Who done
It
it
was
said you almost sounded American there. I've been practicing that for a long time. It's not easy. You have to. It doesn't come out that easily if you don't kind of feel it. You need to start to feel it and then lean into it. But it's rough. It's rough because the communist. My mother, the part of your parents that lives inside your brain, she fucking hates me, calls me a capitalist pig. But it's okay. I deal with that since I'm a kid. Don't worry about it. And call her Joyce in the America. Fuck yeah. Yes, we agree. But it's a bad argument in a debate context. I think. I mean, I wouldn't just because those kinds of absolutist arguments, right? You say America's the best country in the world. Well, okay, sure. My very little shithole third world country has 97% literacy rate. That is like 20% higher than the US. Thanks for playing, though. It was fun. Right? It,
I
it
mean,
gets you into those situations that you can just be refuted by one fact.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was gonna say another challenge you have with that is like, so when the Romans were on top, does that mean the Roman religion, everyone should have converted to it at that time, because when they were, during the Pax Romana, they were kicking butt, so we all should have been, believed in the Roman religion.
Yeah.
Of course, everyone's going to say no. So therefore, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
so when the Jewish people were like getting smashed by the Babylonians or the Assyrians when they were gone into captivity, does that mean the religion wasn't true because they weren't being successful? I mean, like
Yeah.
is it true that the winner is the one you should follow? Because of course, most of the time Christians didn't think that was true. They've only argued that since we've been winning.
Well,
Mhm.
the Romans lasted for 800 years. We've only been here a couple hundred. The Roman system was they had their pantheon, but whenever they conquered a new territory with new gods, they just rolled the conquered territories gods into their pantheon, and you just had another god that people could worship, right? And that
I
was
like that.
one of the problems that they had with the Jews, is that the Jews wouldn't acknowledge the Roman gods, right? And the Jews and the Christians, I think. I think they had a problem. In fact, the early Christians were called atheists because they wouldn't believe in the Roman pantheon. They believed in their one God, and I guess
Mhm.
in their mindset, that kind of mindset, it was akin to atheism. It isn't what we would call it, but that's what they thought at the time. But they were very successful. They just like assimilated all the religions around them, and that was a successful strategy.
Yep. Yep. NASA Security Force, I didn't finish reading this, says the Old Testament should be relevant to Christians. Jesus brought a new covenant. And this is a very hot topic discussed for ages on whether Christians are supposed to keep the law or not. If you
Yeah,
go by Yes, sorry, go ahead.
And so like almost all Christians, there's some that don't. Almost all Christians argue we should follow the 10 Commandments, right? Christians are fighting to get the 10 Commandments in schools. What
Right?
are the 10 Commandments from? They're from the Old Testament. So Christians might say, well, there's a moral, civil, and judicial law, and this is the moral law, and it continues on. So therefore, yes, Christianity wouldn't have to completely defend the Old Testament in this kind of debate unless you make the argument that God has had unchanging rules. Then you would need to defend the Old Testament. If you're like, I don't
Right.
believe in the Old Testament at all, it's like, okay, well, I'm not sure what kind of Christian you are. You're like not a normal one. Because Jesus claimed to fulfill the Old Testament, and he called it the Scriptures. First Timothy talks about the Scriptures, and of course, he's referring to the Old Testament. So anyway, Christians have to care about the Old Testament in certain contexts. So when you say you don't have to worry about it, I guess if you're arguing for an ethical system, that's true. But as soon as you bring any kind of arguments in that are like, well, I want to talk about my eternal system of Christianity, then you do have to bring, you've brought it into the discussion at that point.
What what Justin from Deconstruction Zone says, and I think it's a great argument, is that fulfilling the law doesn't mean that you don't get to follow it anymore. Let's take this example. You get into your car and you fulfill the law of wearing your seatbelt. Does that mean that you do not have to wear your seatbelt anymore? No. You just continue to fulfill the law. You continue to follow the law. And I agree with that objection from Justin. Isa, I see you there. I put you. Oh, you still have background noise on the bike. I don't know why. Are you on? Maybe you've changed something on your devices. But we will wait for you and we'll give you a chance to go over some of the stuff when you get back. Have a couple more. Yonderstone for $5 says, Matthew 5:18, Jesus said all laws still apply even if you buy into Paul's bullshit. You still have the 500 yearish of slavery, genocide, and SA, which yes, it's a fair objection, but I don't think that the dragon guy was he didn't have the more sophisticated side of debating down. I think he was a bit of a simpleton. Ooh, we have image. Can we get a sound check? Do we have sound?
Yeah, we got sound.
Yes. We did
Much
it.
better.
Isa, give us a summary. We are up to the open discussion. We've been moving very fast. I'll get water and I'll be right back.
So from what I saw, I was out. It's been really hard just trying to manage like getting all the technology stuff working here. Yeah, I saw some definitional debates. That was one of the things that I noticed between the two. I think the difficulty that I have in all of these conversations when we're talking about Christianity is I think people have to define what their personal understanding of Christianity is. You can't just say, I'm a representative of Christianity. If I'm an Orthodox Christian, I am not going to be a representative of Catholics, Protestants, Southern Baptists, Anglicans, Methodists. This is why I find this weird where you say Christian versus atheist. No, we should be specific on what we're defining, because that's how you can engage these points. If I'm an Anglican, I have certain ideological points of view, right? If I'm an Orthodox Christian, I'm going to have certain ideological points of view. And not even that. If I'm Orthodox, what kind of Orthodox am I? Am I Greek Orthodox? Am I Russian Orthodox? These things are going to change everything. So if there was this, it's weird. It's like there's like this pretend monolith of faith, and I don't think it works that way. And that's why I find these debates to be weird, like where you have Islam versus Christianity. Well, what interpretation of Islam are we talking about? Islam's not a monolith. So if I'm an Ismaili, I'm not going to think the same as let's say a Salafi, as a Salafi adherent. It's just very different. You can't just do Islam unless you try to do like what I do, where I try to make an academic point of view, where I'm like, well, this particular group has this particular perspective, this group has this perspective. But like if you're saying Christian ethics, it's a lot of work, and I think it's fun, like when you see these types of things, like you see this type of perspective. But like someone like Dr. J, knows this. There's a lot of work into doing this. It's not just some simple, easy thing where you just jump in and you're like, I'm just going to say lots of philosophical things, and then that means Christianity is better, or I'm going to say atheism's dumb. I was missing that. I would have liked to have seen that. So those are the comments that I picked up from what I saw.
You're muted, Max.
Shit, sorry. And for the open discussion, we were kind of having the sentiment that it lacked a little bit of substance, that we got stuck on who's better, like America #1 kind of a deal for a little while.
I think Craig even tried for him to define his version of Christianity, but that just went nowhere. He didn't.
That also failed, yes. Isa, I was asking you.
Oh yeah, so I was thinking about that, like even the definitions of Christianity, because one of my favorite books and tales are the Three Musketeers. Are you familiar with that, Dr. J? The Three Musketeers?
Yeah,
By
Alexandre Dumas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the whole premise is the battle between the Protestants and the Catholics. That's the subtext behind in that story. So people are battling, like the French king is a Catholic, and who he's battling against. It's like they're Protestants, and like what was his name? Cromwell? Is that who it was? William Cromwell? I think that's the person. That's the person who's antagonistic to it. So because he's a good Protestant, I think he becomes Lord General something or other. I think that's what happens. That's where you see the subtext of that. And I'm like, Oliver Cromwell, thank you. You know who I'm talking about. Yes, Oliver Cromwell. Appreciate that. It's really late here. But I think to me, or real early, but I think to me, it's just so weird that you're like, we're just this great monolith. Everything goes along and we're just getting along. And I'm like, not quite. Mm-hmm. So like you first have to sort out you have to do internal dialogue and internal ethics. And this is in all religions. That's my position. All these religions have to kind of get a more of an internal dialogue before you say, well, this is the presentation for this. And you'd have to be really like, this is why people go to seminary, and they have to do dissertations, and they do a lot of work and do a lot of this work. It's particularly in religion. People like, religion is like dumb. I'm like, no, it's not. But a lot of these people who claim that they're religious are not skilled in religious studies. They don't know the work. They don't know the effort. They don't know the scholarship. They don't do the work, but then they come in and they learn, some philosophical trickery. And then that allows people to think that they're this brilliant person. Like one perfect person I think of who does this, his name is Orthodox Muslim. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's...
No, sounds fun.
His
Can
name,
I meet him?
You should. He's called Libiano too. I saw him at one of these videos, and he doesn't really know religion. He definitely doesn't know Christianity, and he tries to take down Christianity. I'm like, but you don't know Hebrew, you don't know Greek, you haven't put the years in here. You just read the text and you don't understand it. You don't understand what the Gospel of John is saying. You don't understand what the other synoptic Gospels are saying. You don't have that skill set, but you think you're smart enough to talk about this stuff that you don't really know. And the guy doesn't even know Islam that well either. So I'm like, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. You know what I mean? You don't know Christianity, you don't know Islam, but you want to act like you're a debater that can, like one thing I have to bring up is I think about that debate with Daniel Hakikachu versus David Wood. And the debate was like, who venerates, the big JC
Jesus more. Yes.
Is it Muslims or Christians? And I was looking at that and I'm like, you don't know. First of all, you spent your whole time talking about Judaism, which you don't understand. You don't understand the Talmud because I went to a summer camp where I learned the Talmud, some of the Talmud. It is a complex, multivariate text. And it's not just something you can just jump into and understand it. You have to do a lot of scholarship to get it. And he didn't even talk about Christianity like at all, barely, to defend why what was the point that why Islam is superior to Christianity. What I was going to do my PhD thesis on? I was going to do it on Jesus through a Christian, Muslim, and Jewish perspective. And when I was doing my research into the Islamic perspective, it's very difficult because there's not much stuff. In your standard narrative, you don't have much stuff that you're working with. There's very, very, very little. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a pamphlet worth of stuff. So it's like you have to use other sources, other Islamic external sources to do that. Because if you don't really have a character unless you're dependent on the New Testament's version. You don't have much to work with. And this is what you do with scholarship. And this is my problem when I see a lot of these Christian debaters come up. I'm like, you're not a scholar in Christianity. Like, you don't know this stuff well enough to talk about it. You're just not an expert in this stuff. It's hard work to do it. It's not just I can watch like some YouTube videos and that makes me an expert. That's why you have school. This is why you have scholarship. And I don't know. This is why there's a lack of substance, because there's a lack of knowledge. If you don't have the knowledge, then you're not going to have the substance. You know what I mean?
The dragon guy, I heard him say a couple of times during the open discussion, oh, well, you're just latching on to an interpretation. And I said, dude, no one is out of that problem. No one. Because, yeah, you find an interpretation that kind of agrees with you and you go with that, but everyone does that.
But
I'll hand it over to you 1 second. Let me read this. NASA Security Force for $5. Thank you so much. In many cases, religion, politics, etc., come from a place of identity. For many, it's based on a need to be part of the group. And I agree, the conversation is super more nuanced than just like, oh, yeah, Christianity is the best. Go, go, go. Everything is more complicated than that. Brenda, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
I was just going to make a joke, which was, Isa,
Go ahead.
you know that us flat earthers, we know the globe better than you do.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I
true.
love it when they say that, and then they absolutely fuck it up. Like
100%.
the best one was the guy who put a warning before his video that if you watch his video, you'll be a flat earther.
This is my opinion on scholarship, having like spent my whole life studying like religion and comparative religion particularly. What I've learned is you can have scholars who are not of that religion, but I'm going to trust their understanding. Like Dr. Joshua Little is a scholar of Hadith. He's not a Muslim, and he's not even Arab or South Asian or any, like some person who was born into some intergenerational Muslim family. But I trust his judgment because he's learned Arabic, he's done the work, he's done the time, and he has different understandings of it. And I would say, like, if someone happened to be like a Muslim who studied Christianity, I'm going to trust their scholarship if they did the work. But I think it's really weird where we have this thing which, like, I have identity politics. That now makes me qualified to talk about this thing. I was born in a family that believes in this religion. I'm like, my pushback would be, I'm like, well, what other cultural norms do you have? Did you come from a British family? Did you come from a Senegalese family? What are the cultural norms of that society? That changes all these different dynamics. Are you Greek? Like, if you're a Greek Orthodox, there's a great movie I love. It's called My Big Fat Greek Wedding. There's like 3 of them. I love this movie. But the way that Christianity is viewed there, it's very Greek. It's a Greek cultural norm. Yes, there's a Christianity elements too, but all of that stuff is a part of the package. So, like, we have to look at all the variables. We can't just say, well, it's this one thing. We have to look at all these other elements too. Like, when I think of like American Christianity, there's a lot of stuff that you're not going to see that's in the Bible. You're going to see a lot of American cultural elements that are a part of the practice as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this frontier element, like I need to build my own house and I need to do all of these, like the Protestant ethic that Max Weber wrote. You'll see all of that stuff. And I think it's really, really cool. It's really interesting. And we need to be aware of these elements and not just say, well, what I'm doing is pure Christianity. No, it has the elements of Christianity and these other things too. Same thing with Islam, same thing with Judaism, same thing with Buddhism and Hinduism, all of these religions.
Isa, if that dragon martial arts guy had actually wanted to put up a strong argument, he would have appealed to the Protestant ethic by Max Weber. That's not a trivial argument to the argument for people that don't know is that the Protestant ethic, which emphasizes hard work, is what helped to build Western culture, because it emphasizes, that you work hard all your life, and that this is what was needed in order to build the Industrial Revolution, to build the countries after the Industrial Revolution. That's what was needed. That would have been an argument he could have put, but no, he needed to sit there and fuck around with dictionary definitions and stuff. Yeah.
That's
But-
two. That's two better arguments from
yes.
Brenda than we heard from the Christian debater tonight. So that
One thing that I found out was weird too is it's just like that's something that I've noticed is like dictionary definitions. Who cares what dictionary definitions are? We're talking about religious theology here. This is ridiculous. What Merriam-Webster says has nothing to do with high-level
Dictionary
religious
says I'm
dialogue.
smarter than you. Dictionary says I'm smart.
we're talking about words like hypostasis and the Trinity. Like we're way beyond what the dictionary says.
And the thing is, if we're thinking about hypostasis, this is not a kind of a space for ethics. You have to have common language. When you're having a debate, you've got to say, okay, what do we have in common? Now, what special thing do I have that outclasses you? I was doing this engagement with Matt Dillahunty. We were talking about Sufism versus secular humanism, which I think was a fair conversation. I'm like, debating Islam versus secular humanism is stupid. It's a really dumb argument because secular humanism is a very specific element of atheist thought, right? Sufism is a very specific element of Islam. Saying, oh, all of Islam, okay, here's Wahhabis, here's Ismailis, here's Quranists. Let's debate all of this stuff and then debate it against this tiny point of secular humanism. That's ridiculous. It's dumb and it makes no sense. If we're going to do specific, we have to do specific versus specific, or generic versus generic. That's the way that you do it, and that's how you're going to have an interesting conversation. But if you're just like, oh, well, I'm going to take this big general topic and debate it against a very specific thing, I'm like, that's silly. So you have to really define your terms. You can't just say Christianity versus secular humanism. You have to say, I'm a Russian Orthodox a Christian, and I'm debating what I see in my framework versus your secular humanism, and I need to know what you define as secular humanism is.
Ale brought it up today, Isa, that, for example, except Uruguay, large parts of Latin America are actually Christian countries. Mexico, Colombia, and a bunch of others,
Well,
right?
Mexico, not quite, but...
Mexico, no?
No,
Okay.
Mexico is more secular. It's heavily influenced by Catholicism, but it's secular, more or less.
You got it. Okay, awesome.
You know what's cool about Mexico too is there's multiple ethnicities there. Like we have this weird Americans are weird. They're like, they're Latinos. They're all the same thing. I'm like, there's like 30 ethnicities in Mexico.
Yes, in just like a little piece of land.
But you're all the same thing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like this is what you true. Sorry, but yeah.
But you have and some of the places, these places are very challenged, of course, out of years of abuse by the colonization and yada yada. But if you're going to make the argument that Christianity is the best because America number one, then it opens it up to like, hey, why don't we take a stroll than 5 kilometers away from the center of Asunción in Paraguay, like the capital city of Paraguay. You move 5 kilometers away from the center of the city, and it's like abject poverty all over. It's like, oh yeah, and Paraguay is a Christian country, so okay, you have the best, you have the worst. That means you're in the middle. You're just average, right? It's a weird argument. I don't get why they think it's good, and they keep on making it. And the other one, he tried to hit all of the the bells and whistles. He did try to go down the route of you, Craig. You don't have an objective, but I don't think he's sophisticated enough to understand how that argument goes. The dragon guy, I mean.
But and my question to that too is like, what is the objective morality? I mean, like, if I'm an atheist, I would say your reality is subjective too. Your God makes the decision, thus it's subjective. It's not objective.
Yeah,
it is through the mind of God. Then, so your position is finished. Your position's finished.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I can never get them to engage.
They don't want to engage.
They don't engage that. They don't because pretend it doesn't exist. Sorry.
They pretend that because their God is like the arbiter, that it somehow just, even though it's like from one mind, God's mind, it's still, they just say it's objective, but it's not. It's still God's opinion. So you don't have objective morality either.
I think they're like the defense I've seen from the more sort of intellectual Christians here is that they say it's a like even though morality like even though like the Old Testament doesn't apply anymore, it was objectively the right thing to do at that time. So sort of like saying that it was objectively right at that time, and now it's objectively right the New Testament or whatever. But the problem
Mm,
there is that congratulations, your objective system is just as useful as a subjective system. There's no practical difference now between
right. Yeah.
the two.
You just undefined your system out of just with words. You just made it indistinguishable from my system. Good job.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. But there wasn't much else. There wasn't much meat. I think a better strategy is to always go to the Bible. Some of the unjustifiable things that happen. I think that's a better, because if you go, let's say, you can even make a Gnostic argument. You can say that the Gnostic argument is even better than some of the stuff that was said today from the Christian guy, the dragon guy, right? You can just say, oh yeah, the Old Testament, that's a minor deity, right? Uh, that's why everything sucked and it's immoral and all that kind of stuff. But then there's a higher God, and that's the God. I think that is even a better argument than some of the shit that dragon guy.
Yeah.
Also, who goes by like Dragon Fist Martial Arts as your debate name? Like, dude, that's even worse than mine. Seriously.
Like one little criticism, extra criticism that I do have for
Yeah?
Craig though is that when the guy said that his system was secular and Craig said no, it's not secular, I was, what is it then? Like I don't know, it's either secular or religious. Is there any other option? I don't think so.
What was Greg doing there? I could not figure out what in the world. He sometimes just fights over the dumbest things.
Yeah.
Like, you're saying your system isn't secular. It's then what? And he didn't say. And eventually, the moderator was like, oh, let's move on to something else. Yeah, we've gotten far afield. It's like, yeah, Greg, because you were fighting over every inch of this definition of secular for no reason.
Wait, democracy leads to brutal world conquering dictators. Wait, what?
What?
Maybe he's using the Aristotelian definition of democracy. I don't know.
Alexander the
Maybe.
Great. Alexander the Great was not a democrat. He was he's a monarch.
Yeah, he was a conqueror.
Yeah, he was a monarch, and then his descent, the people who inherited it,
No.
they were like battling
Yeah.
over the territory.
No, he's saying that like the Roman Republic, which was a democracy, it led to the Caesars. The Greek democracy led to Alexander the Great. That's hence the arrows. It's
Alexander the Great wasn't really. It's not like he was.
he's
from
still
Athens.
going.
No, he's still going. We're getting a sequence. I'm
okay.
intrigued. I'm intrigued now. Like, I'm stuck at the edge of my seat. I can't wait to see the next one.
So based on his examples, I think he is using like the Aristotelian definition of democracy. I don't remember what was the other name, but that for Aristotle, I believe democracy was like the people ruling, but uninformed people ruling, and that leads to very bad outcomes and leads the country vulnerable to dictatorships. But on the other side is the other system, whose name I don't remember, that is about people being informed and the majority that is informed ruling. And that's just what we today call democracy, I believe. But it's like a different definition for it.
Okay. No. Various failed African banana republics. You know that the biggest producers of bananas are in Latin America, not Africa. Just FYI.
Well, I can't wait for the next one, so let's.
Yeah.
Chiquita banana.
Yes. Do we have anything else on the debate? Because I think we covered it all. There wasn't too much there. Yeah, and I missed the openings.
there wasn't much that we haven't discussed already.
Yeah,
Yes.
it really was.
Yeah, catching the
Ale.
openings. I was gonna say, Max, catching the openings wouldn't help you.
Okay.
They were completely disconnected to the whole rest of the thing, so I don't
Lovely.
Oh, yeah.
think it mattered.
Guess I'll have to go back and watch them again because that usually doesn't happen, right? Completely disconnected openings from the debate topic. But weird. I wonder because I sent not too long ago an email to James to see if he can get me a debate. But he gets some of these people who have no idea what the hell they're doing. I don't know. That's a little bit strange. All right. I don't think we have much else to go, so we're not going to just stretch it by rambling on. So let's do final thoughts, and we'll be on our way. We started with Brenda, so let's finish it up with Brenda.
Oh, it could have been much better um, if the personalities hadn't gotten in the way and they needed to fight about who was talking and all that stuff. Um, Otherwise, I think that the debate here was better.
Yeah. I think you gave the Christians some very tough and powerful ammunition, which they will not never use. But I mean, at least we have the satisfaction of that. Thank you so much, Brenda. Dr. J.
Yeah, not obviously. I don't mean anything personal to Greg. I don't know him really. My understanding he's a pretty nice guy, but I don't enjoy Greg debates at all. And this maybe wasn't his worst or anything, but that continues to remain true. I don't enjoy Andrew Wilson's style of presuppositionalism particularly either. So
Yeah.
it was a little bit of a rough time. Though not the worst debate we've had, right? We've had some flat Earth debates and other styles that were even more disastrous. So
True.
Yeah.
I think last night I enjoyed a little bit better than tonight, but it was great to have a couple debates in a row. Great to see everybody. So it's fun talking to you guys as always.
Thank you so much. Yes, it is fun hanging out here with everyone. Specs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a pretty crazy debate. Not too much. There wasn't too much intellectual value from it, if I'll be completely honest. But otherwise, it was There's not too much. There's not too much to say. It was just typical, Christian who can't really argue, and just yells and doesn't shut up. But it was great to do back-to-back debates, and I'm going to go now. Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Anytime, you got it. Thank you so much for dropping by. Ale, final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I think this debate was better for Greg than the ones I have seen. I think he just needs to like learn to pick his battles, like with the secular thing that the other guy brought up. I also wanted to like go on a little bit of a tangent that what I would like see more atheists doing these sorts of debates is that when the Christians try to bring up the subjectivity thing that our view is subjective and whatever, like just say yes and explain like if it's subjective, how do we get our morals? And the way I think about it is like, yes, it's subjective, and every view in the world about morals is subjective. And so to get like rules for society, what we do is we say, okay, where are we and where do we want to go? We want a fairer world. In general, everyone wants that, like a better world. And so we can agree on certain things like murder will not get us there, or I don't know, or maybe you say we have this objective and now let's use science, for example, to do studies and see which method gets us there faster or better, or are better for achieving those outcomes. And that way we can determine in subjective frameworks which rules should we use for society. And I mean, I haven't seen many atheists explain that part, and I would like to see more explaining it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It always goes ignored. But even when Mark, for example, tried it, they will just not engage, and you would have to put yourself in a position of being incredibly obnoxious answer this to me or we're not moving anywhere else, because they generally do the Latin hips and dodge it.
Yeah.
NASA security force for $10. Thank you so much. Says, why is it that the ones who claim Christian the loudest profess things that directly disagree with their deity? They only love children until they are born, and then when they can go to war. That is fair criticism in every abortion debate I've ever done. That is something that I do bring up, because it's like, yeah, don't kill the baby. The fetus is now born. Fuck it. Like, who cares? Let's just give them some charity. And it seems like a very inconsistent way to go about doing that. Isa, final thoughts from you.
Yeah. I was reviewing the debate a little bit while we were talking. I wanted to look at the openings a little bit since we didn't talk about it.
Okay.
I actually wanted to comment on what Dragonfist was saying. He did exactly what I was talking about. He tried to conflate modern Western values with Christianity. I find this to be preposterous. What you can say is that, yes, first of all, Hebraic thought, not just Christian Hebraic thought, has influenced the elements that we have now, but so has a bunch of other things. We're a conglomerate of multiple elements all interconnected with each other. It's not. It's a very dishonest position where you're like,
yes,
well, you know, these European people who follow Jesus did some amazing things and just made everything amazing and great. I'm like, they did some of that, and they did some horrible things too. You're just totally are blindsided about all the colonialism, all the imperialism, all this.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've got to own both. To me, like, if you asked me about Islam and you said, well, is Islam a perfect, wonderful religion? I'm like, no. There's good stuff and there's problematic stuff. There is imperialism and colonialism. There was enslavement of people. These things did exist. We can't pretend they didn't. That's a part of history. And Islamic imperialism and colonialism is not good, and Christian imperialism and colonialism is bad. They're both bad, in my opinion. Imperialism and colonialism are not good things. Do they yield? Is there some yielding of good results? Sometimes there's some stuff like you might have infrastructural development that can occur, but there's also a lot of intergenerational trauma that's a part of that too. So we have to look at the nuances of all of these things. So he was just like, the West is so great because of Christianity. That was his thing. It did civil rights. And I'm like, did you know that, what was his name? General Bull, whatever, the guy in the South, I forgot what the guy's name is. He had a nickname, Bullhorn or something, where he was like, I don't want no black people here. Use another word, I don't want none of them here. They're not going to be in my state walking around. They need to eat at the colored place, like those people were Christian too. That's a part of the story. Were abolitionists like John Brown Christian? Yes. And racist bigot people like that guy who did the, what's that thing called? The filibuster. Strom Thurmond. He wanted to keep segregation forever. So he did a filibuster too. I mean, he did a filibuster. So I'm like, he's a racist and he was a Christian. So I'm like, it's complex and nuanced. You can't just say, I'm going to look at all the great and good things that my community does and then ignore, and then people who do bad things from the community, ignore it completely. You can't do that. It's dishonest, it's disingenuous, and it is problematic. And I think when I saw
Strom Thurmond couldn't be racist. He married a black woman.
Yeah, it's an utterly preposterous, ridiculous situation because someone does that. It's like make you a bigot, right? You're right. That's cute, and I think this is my problem when you just keep saying the West, the West, the West. Like I'm like, America has got a lot of problems. Okay, the health insurance system stinks. We're the number one of incarceration. Like there's problems. It's not just a golden age. Is there good stuff? Yes, and there's bad stuff. This is a good, honest debater. Talks about the weaknesses in their position. They say, yes, I have these weaknesses in my position, and my position overcomes your position. It's because your weaknesses are greater than mine. That's a smart maneuver. But this type of thing where you're like, I'm just perfect. I'm just golden. Everything I say is just smells like roses and ponies and unicorns and roses. I just smell so beautiful, and then you open the door, you see the dark dungeon with all the horrors in it, and you're like, oh, that door's locked. That door's locked. No one sees that. So I'm like, this to me is what bothers me greatly because I don't like dishonesty. I'm like, be honest. You know, you have good and you have stuff that's not so good. You know what I mean? And I think one of the
Mhm.
weird things that people do is they always bring up the Hebrew scriptures. So I've been to Jewish Bible studies, so Jewish perspectives on the Hebrew scriptures or the Old Testament. So I went to a conservative. I've been to conservative and Orthodox spaces, right? So that's the more like religious spaces within rabbinic Judaism. So the conservative space was like, "Yup, this stuff happened and it wasn't good." They don't just say God said it. They're like, "Yeah, this is the kind of justice that we dealt with. It wasn't objective justice like what this guy says." And I'm like, these are the people who are reading the histories of these people. So they're like, "This isn't objective. It's just like we we dealt with the best that we built. You know, we dealt with the hand we were given." You know, I did a whole academic paper on this guy named Shamgar Ben Anath. He's a judge. It's actually published in academia if you want to read it. It's called like Warrior, Judge, Mercenary, because we were trying to figure out who this Shamgar Ben Anath is, because there's only 2 paragraphs in the entire Hebrew scriptures of him. One talks about him killing 600 Philistines with an ox goad. So he's a really interesting character. I'm like, why not make a movie about him? Why do you keep making movies about Samson? They're boring and they're not good. Make a story about him because you can be creative. Hollywood can be creative because there's nothing about him, so you get to make up everything. You know, you can make it like a Conan the Barbarian adventure flick. You could do that and you can make a lot of money, but instead you keep making Samson movies that are not that great anyway. And there's more information, so you're stuck with certain characteristics. But he kills 600 Philistines with an ox goad, and and there's another part. It's like about the song of Deborah or Deborah, where it's like talking about how in his time there were bandits that roamed the land, and I'm like, this is great. We can make like a Swords and Sandals movie on this about Shamgar fighting against the 600 Philistines. You know, like maybe doing like Assassin's Creed where he hides around and he has his ox goad. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. Like there's a lot of cool stuff you could do with that, but yeah, they haven't done that. But I'm saying that's the issue is it's so complex, it's so nuanced. How do people read these texts? It becomes a completely different playground that you're dealing with, and that's the thing. So for those conservative Jews, it's like, this is not objective. They're like, this is like what our people did. You know, we worship Hashem, we worship God, we do what we can, but this is the best that we can do with what we're given. And that's such a different narrative than like, yes, that was good. You know, God commanded this, and this is right. I'm like, yeah, no. I think you could take different perspectives on this, and I think we need to be open to differing points of views within religion.
Yes, that idea of, oh yeah, genocide is good when God commands it. That is super weird and a little bit special pleady. So we don't really roll like that. Isa, let me tell you that NASA Security Force gifted 5 Yerba Mate Talks memberships. And guess what? One of those memberships, the very first one, went actually to Isa, and then Peter Collins, Sir Farts Moore, ADE, the Nobel Prize, and Yonderstone. So Isa, now, what you can do is you can use emojis of yourself, which is a very badass move. So there you go. We can spam some Isas in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you so much, NASA Security Force. Deeply appreciate it.
It's probing time, says for $10 Australian. Here's $10 just for being awesome. Well, thank you so much.
One other thing. Sorry.
Yeah, I have one more. Calder says, fuck yeah! 1 month. Thank you. Go ahead, Isa.
Yeah, just a quick thing that I wanted to mention is I wanted to say that in the Hebrew text, it's really fascinating because the Israelites don't get off easy. If they don't do what God wants, if the earth swallows them up, if the Ark of the Covenant annihilates them, the Ark of the Covenant gets taken from them. It's not like, it's actually a really raw text. It's like, just because you're chosen by God doesn't mean you get special things. You pay the price. If you don't do what God wants, you pay the price. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's a kind of refreshing type of take, I think.
I mean, I agree. When you take it down that route, I agree. There are some other problems with some other stuff, like for example, when King David makes God angry and God punishes his concubines and not him. That's pretty gets you into some murky territory. But Dr. J also became a member. Woohoo! Dr. J, I don't have an emoji for you. I'm trying to fix that right now. That's why I am kind of rambling, because I do want you to be able to use yourself on stream. That
Yeah,
would be
well, when I saw the gifted memberships, I was like, I don't know if I've become a member of the new channel yet. So I checked and I hadn't, so I figured I better get that done.
awesome. Hold on. I have Dr. J's picture somewhere here. Yes, found that. Let me remove the background and I'll be uploading you again. I did not find the previous ones. Sorry, never mind. I'm lying. I did actually find the link with the previous one. It's just that the Google Drive has been removed. But don't worry, I got you. I found in my Canva, I have the file of the images I used to make thumbnails before. So, alrighty. Isa, I agree with your point of view. That's why a debate between us would be like super boring, because we don't I mean, we disagree on fundamentals. Like I'm an atheist and you're not, right? But other than that, we agree far more than we don't disagree. So I don't think it would be fun. But this
I feel you.
type of people who are super.
I think we'd be a good
stuck-
debate partner. I think you and I would be good debate
Yes,
partners.
that is true. That is true. If only Nadir would stop being scared. But, we'll get him eventually. All right, I have Dr. J here. Now remove the background, then I should be done, and we can be on our way. Oh, I also have one more, Isa. This one from Yonderstone. Isa is so fun and generous. I don't always agree with anyone, but I do appreciate his perspective on things. Cool guy, yeah. And that's why we have him here. And that's why we have Dr. J. And that's why I ruin every show that I'm in, because you have to keep the balance. I'd love to see Max and Isa debating people. Well, we care about a lot of issues deeply, right? We talked about doing a drug legalization debate and some other subject. It's just that MDD has never gone for the both of us. I don't know why. But yeah, I think we do. We would make a good team in debate. We both would like to debate Nadir, right? Nadir is I don't know. He doesn't want to. He wants, when I tried to set up the debate the last time, not a couple months ago, he didn't want a debate. He wanted a discussion so that later he can go and say, oh yeah, it was ambushed, it was 2v1, it was that kind of a thing. So, and because I've seen him do that before, and I don't really like that. I like the use of the opening exclamation point, because you guys don't use that. Even I don't use that because my keyboard is in English, so I love that. And says, muchísimas gracias, Yerba Mate Talks. That means thank you very much. Thank you, Isa, for all you do for us.
You just missed the accent in muchísimas.
Yeah, the tilde. What's the name of that symbol in English? Because it's not tilde. Tilde is another thing.
The X upside down exclamation mark?
No,
No.
when you have, for example, like an eye and you have a little mark like that.
An accent
to the
mark?
side. An accent
An
mark,
accent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was accent. I said it right.
Yeah.
Is it called a diacritical?
No,
I don't think
there's
so.
a little. It's like a little dash on the eye. Sorry, my keyboard doesn't have that. So like I'm trying to figure out all this stuff.
Yeah,
There's a
it's
little tricks-
okay. It's okay.
the tricks on the
and
keyboard.
It's a hat.
let me tell you.
It's a hat. Your alphabet is wearing a hat.
That
Icon
is
has
true.
a hat.
That is true. But Isa, let me tell you, it's a bitch and a half to remember which words have that and which words don't. Oh my God. It is annoying as hell. Most people get it wrong. All right, we're almost done with Dr. J. So one second. Add another emoji. Dr. J. Oh, we got you. There we go. Yes. Got it. Okay, save and publish. It does take sometimes a minute or two to update. All right. My final thoughts. I think that Craig is getting better. He needs to arm himself with a lot more patience, because unironically, I look at the chat a lot, right? So there's always a handful of comments of why is the atheist so mad, and I think that is counterproductive. Just point out where their logic is breaking. Just point out how they're being fallacious, and just go about the debate without being angry. I know that today it was voted by the people, but I don't know. I think it's a better strategy to be more prepared, and always take it to the Bible. Just always take it to the Bible. That's where you win, because there's a reason why we don't follow what the Bible says anymore, even in the believing countries. Is because stoning people to death is not okay, and we figured that out, fortunately. So I think that is it. I will check if we can actually send the Dr. J, so I can go to bed actually happy that I might accomplish the mission. And I did actually get
I
an
want to
update.
say one thing. Oh, sorry.
Yes, 1 second. We are 200 members in the channel. That is awesome. Thanks everyone so much. Isa.
Sorry, my
Go
bad. I just was going to say that I think that's one of the problems that Craig has. Like, I remember his debate with Andrew Wilson. It's like, dude, you're out of your depth, man. Like, you don't know the difference between the Hebrew scriptures and the New Testament. Like, that's not good, man. You can't come into this debate and not really know these things. You've got to, like, research it and stuff like that. And I get Craig's position. He's like, dude, like, this stuff is archaic and it's backwards and I don't want to read it. But I'm like, if you're going to duel someone who does believe in these things, you got to know the material. You got to be comfortable with it. You got to be able to swim with it, right? Like, if I ask you questions about Islam, Max, you're like, I don't believe in Islam, but you would know basic knowledge of stuff in Islam. And you're like, okay, I don't agree with Islam based on A, B, C, and D. But the thing is, you've read stuff. You've done the research. You're going to do that. So if you would engage in a debate against Islam, you're like, well, I know these things, you know? Like Dr. Wood knows a lot about Islam. That's why he's really good at debating it, because he knows the information. You can't debate something if you don't have the knowledge on it. And I agree with Dr. J, too. I find it's harder for me because the incendiary approach of like, oh my God, these dumb religious people, they're so backwards. Why don't they come into the 21st century and leave these barbaric religious things behind, you know? Like, I get his approach, but I'm like, you have to try to see it from the religious person's point of view. You've got to look from their perspective. And then you've got to steelman their position. That's why I always ask every debate, can you steelman your opponent's position? Because what that does, it shows that you understood what your interlocutor was saying and you understand what their best argument is. And then you're able to dismantle their best position, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I think so too. But I don't know, people are not really that good. And then we have people teaching, like Andrew Wilson has a debate academy where he teaches his debate nonsense style. And I really hate that. People should debate with more honesty and acknowledge like the flaws in their position. Like, yeah, because there is no position that is perfect. And when you take that stance, oh yeah, my position is perfect, you just look like a fool. It's annoying as hell. NASA Security Force became a YouTube member at Yerba Mate y Bizcochos. Yes, thank you so much. All righty, people, I have no idea if we're doing something tomorrow, but we'll see. It was fun having we haven't had two debates in a row in a long time.
Upcoming is something on feminism.
There is, yes, on the with
upcoming.
Raquel
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
But that is on like the 20th.
It's not tomorrow. It's not tomorrow,
Yes.
but it's upcoming.
Yes.
I have one last statement too that I didn't get to mention because I think it's
You
super
got it.
important. Because
Yeah.
I was thinking about the opponent's position, Dragonfish martial arts. You're telling us about how Christianity is this great moral thing, but I'm like, but you're taking from Asian culture, dude. Dragonfist was that Shoryuken from Street Fighter. Like, what are you doing? You know, like
Yeah.
you're using East Asian, martial arts. You're using Asian martial arts, and you're saying, and this is a part of your identity. And you're like, well, Christian identity. I'm like, so, but yes, you have Christian identity, but you also have this Asian identity that you're utilizing. But you're ignoring the Asian identity, and you're fixated on European Christian identity. I find that to be so bizarre.
Not to mention, he's probably summoning demons.
That is true. And I also think that if Christian society wouldn't be that bad, then you would not need martial arts to defend yourself from the filth that is around you. I mean, that is just, if we're going down that route of extremely basic argumentation, we can all do that. Right? That's a funny thought. NASA Security Force said for $2, my bad. I forgot I wasn't a member. Oh, bro, thank you so much. I humbly thank you for supporting us. It's been a blast tonight, Dr. J. Isa. We need to finish up for this week. We need to set up a time to finish up our Jubilee review. I'm itching to finish that one. Now that Dr. J is all settled in, we can get that scheduled, hopefully for this week. And stay tuned. Yes, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think this Thursday I'm going to start. Remember, I was going to start every Thursday over lunchtime. This is the week. So hopefully maybe you and I can chat tomorrow a little bit about it, get it on the schedule. Right. And
yes,
you don't have to be there, but I think I'm going to be ready to start this Thursday.
Let's go. Awesome. Oh, you're gonna get a lot more Dr. J. It's not in the gym. That was very highly successful. But I don't know.
I started CrossFit since I moved to Florida. I've done it 2 days. I can hardly move. I'm so doggone sore. Oh my gosh.
All right, we might get a CrossFit Dr. J cam for just put it in the background, like there in the corner. All right, people. Love you all. Thank you so much for being here. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Have a good night.
Thanks.